So on your home planet, did anyone have like the ability or the technology to shapeshift?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really?
Yeah, I could shapeshift.
Really?
Well, of course, why not?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I've never seen that in my goddamn life.
You wanna see?
Yeah, very much.
What would you like me to turn into?
I don't know. How about, a spoon?
One spoon coming up.
What? Wow. Can I hold you?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, go ahead.
Can I test you out? Like, can I eat some cereal, man? I'm kind of hungry.
Hell no, are you crazy?
Understandable.
Anything else?
How about glasses? Sweet. This doesn't actually help my vision, if I'm being honest with you.
Because I'm not actually glasses.
True. How about a 3DS? Goddamn badass. Look at you. Do you turn on?
Not a real 3DS.
True. How about a dumbbell? Damn, dude. This kind of feels like almost the same weight of what the dumbbell would actually be like.
Wow, that's pretty fucked up.
No, bro, this is a compliment in this form. How about a GBA link cable for the GameCube? My man, that's what I'm talking about. So if I were to insert this into the GameCube, what would happen?
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Why not?
Well, think about it. You're holding the end of me, right? You're gonna put me into something? Well, let's just say I'll enjoy it. You won't.
That's pretty nasty.
You're pretty funny for me.
It's impressive. That's some impressive stuff.
Any last request?
Well, I was thinking of one more, if you don't mind.
On backlog, been gone for way too long. On backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dog. On backlog, me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On backlog, did you know that Carlo wears thongs? On backlog, I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
Let's go! Blob! Hey!
What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with me, and welcome to Back at the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game, A Boy and His Blob. My only history with this franchise is wanting to play this game when I was younger. I don't remember what year this was, but I do remember seeing this cover and thinking, wow, that looks cool. And it does look cool. That's a great looking cover. And besides, look at this blob. How would you not want to at least see what this game looks like? A Boy and His Blob was released in the US on October 13th, 2009 for the Nintendo Wii. Ports of this version was released on PC, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Xbox One, and mobile devices from the years of 2016 to 2017. It was developed by WayForward Technologies and published by Majesco Entertainment. Yeah, they ported this game that was exclusively on a Nintendo platform for 7 years and didn't bother to bring it to modern Nintendo platforms. That makes no sense. WayForward and Majesco, though, two new names to this backlog series. WayForward is great with their unique styles and franchises such as Shantae, so I was pretty curious to see how they'd handle A Boy and His Blob. Majesco didn't sound familiar to me though. After a little bit of research, it's actually cool to say that they're based out in New Jersey, which is cool because it's not often you have a gaming company that's near where you live. Their last few years have been pretty rocky though. They've been acquired a couple times now, left the games industry when they were bought in 2016, then 1 year later came back to the games industry when sold off. Latest thing they've done is port the GBA title Iridon 3D to Steam in 2020. Still good to hear that both companies are doing things. WayForward is the bigger name in the industry right now at least. They're even working with Nintendo for the new Advance War remake. Speaking of remakes, A Boy and His Blob is actually a reimagining of the NES title A Boy and His Blob: Trouble on Blobolonia. I had no clue that that game actually even existed until recently, and I only recently found out that there's a Game Boy sequel too. From watching footage of the NES game, the only similarity is in its concept. A Boy and His Blob for Wii is truly its own thing. Does that mean it's any good though? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. The boy is sleeping when all of a sudden something like a meteor shakes the whole house and crash lands outside, so the boy goes to check on what that was. When at the crash site, the blob comes out of the ashes. The first thing the boy does when the blob gets close, he hugs him. Adorable but also very dangerous, which also you could do at any time with just a click of a button. Yes, there's a hug button, and come on, that's just awesome. Regardless, the blob then follows the boy everywhere he goes, and they set out on an adventure to stop these ghoul-like alien creatures because, well, why not? Someone will probably have to eventually anyway, so why not a random boy and an alien blob?
I would never just befriend a random boy and have a lasting friendship with him, play games with him, help him, and be a part of his projects. I don't think I'd be able to trust someone like that.
You sure about that?
Yeah, positive.
I think that already happened to you.
What? In what way? Who's the boy? Exactly. You don't know.
Visually, this game looks great. Art style is WayForward's specialty, and it shows in this game with this beautiful hand-drawn art style. The environments are wonderfully crafted with nice little details all around. The animations on the characters are fluid and unique. It's just an all-around visually pleasing game that fits right on the Wii alongside other games and their unique art styles. The game is structured with worlds and levels within the world. In each world there'll be a unique hub where you'll wake up every time you open the game, which I thought was a nice detail. Each level contains 3 treasure chests that contain decorations that Blob can swallow and take back to the hub world to decorate the walls with. For completionists, that side of the game will be quite addicting, as I feel seeing their progress in decorations is definitely a cool reward. Me, I'm not a completionist by any means, and so I stuck to the main objective, which is to get to the end of the level, collect a gold jelly bean, and move on to the next level. The game is a puzzle platformer in which you can move the boy around and throw jelly beans for the blob. Jumping is the most the boy could do by himself, but with his trusty jelly beans, Blob can help the boy out in so many different ways. Depending on the level, you'll have a variety of jelly beans at your disposal that could transform the blob into different things. For example, a trampoline jelly bean transforms the blob into a trampoline, allowing you to reach higher places. Blob can transform into an anvil that could crush enemies very, very brutally. I mean, damn, I actually feel bad for those guys. But some enemies' heads are so hard that the anvil just sits there and you can use them as a platform to get across somewhere. There's also a Sonic-like transformation in which Blob turns into a ball and you have the ability to spin dash across the stage, crushing any enemies in your way. It's definitely one of my favorites. One last transformation I'll talk about is the clone one. Blob will turn into a clone of the boy in which he moves wherever you move. This is used for puzzles like requiring 2 switches to be activated at once, or needing to walk on spikes, or something along those lines. All these transformations are really cool and unique gameplay wise, and the levels are wonderfully designed around the jelly beans in your current arsenal. Every time a new jelly bean is introduced, there's a sign showcasing when to use that jelly bean without stopping you for a tutorial. I quite like that approach and how the developers very much respected the player's abilities to learn through experience. In terms of world design, there's a nice variety. My favorite world being the Blob's planet. The design really reminds me of Toe Jam and Earl, Panic and Funkotron. I really like that colorful alien style that they went for in this world.
It reminds me of my home planet.
Bro, you're always comparing your damn home to everything. It's like this guy with Blade Runner 2049.
It's a great movie.
It just reminds me of it, dude. What can I say?
Except you're welcome.
What?
He's quoting the movie Moana.
Moana?
Moana. It's this damn good Disney movie from 2016.
I don't know it. What can I say?
Except you're welcome.
You can quote that line all day and I still won't get the reference, idiot.
Alright, well then stop interrupting me about your damn home, you bastard. Anyway, the overall atmosphere in this game is great. The music, sound effects, and art style creates this unique, wondrous tone that I really enjoyed. One problem that could potentially occur in a game like this is the AI, aka the Blob, being unresponsive. I thought Blob was a good AI partner. The problem I had with the Blob though is that he would constantly get stuck somewhere. The boy has the ability to call the Blob over, and eventually after like the third time calling the Blob, he'll turn into a balloon and float to the boy's location. Which, by the way, the boy's kind of an asshole the way he calls out for Blob. I mean, I guess I don't blame him if he's constantly, messing up and he has to constantly call out for him. But sometimes he just straight up yells at Blob. Like, relax.
Let's go! Blob! Hey! Let's go!
But yeah, that's the big problem with Blob. He'll sometimes not make jumps and you'll have to constantly call for him and wait for him, only for him to make that same mistake again. That can get frustrating for sure, but it just never was a deal breaker for me as this game is super forgiving. The checkpoint system is like a lot of platformer games that started around this era. If you mess up and die at one point, you'll start from essentially that same point, which I really appreciated. This isn't a run and jump obstacle platformer game. Remember, this is a puzzle platformer game. It's a slow-paced game that will have you thinking on how to approach the next section. Having to redo huge sections or the whole level would be brutal and very time consuming. They made the right call by having you start back at your last puzzle. I did think the pacing was quite good. The first 60% of the game had levels that were perfect length, but the last 40% got quite long. It'll be the same or similar amount of levels in those worlds, but the pacing started to fall off as the levels got longer and more challenging, which is understandable in terms of challenge, but the length of some sections needed to be either cut down or be made as new levels. Some of the most impressive and also frustrating parts of the game are the bosses. The first boss was this gooey, huge snake. You'd have Blob turn into an anvil and have the snake try to get you, but instead bash its head into the anvil. From there, you'd bounce up to these wires where you get this snake to electrocute itself. Then finally, the snake slams itself to the ground, but you could throw a jelly bean that transforms Blob into a hole, causing the snake to fall through the floor into the water and ending that gooey snake's life. I thought that whole boss was super creative. The fact that you don't even hit it, but still defeat it, is pretty damn cool. The second boss was a bit of a pain because of the Sonic-like ball. I love that ability, but in this instance, it was tough to do what I wanted to do because of how fast the ability is. You have to use the gooey creatures against the boss by placing a hole so it could run into the boss, but it just took longer than it should be with the damn ball's speed. This third boss was a giant bird that you have to crush with an anvil after shooting the gooey substance that shoots at you back at it. This boss took me a good 30 minutes just to beat, since every time I placed Blob, he'd face the wrong way. Blob's position depends on where the boy's facing, not when he swallows the jelly beans, but the literal millisecond before he fully transforms. Because I couldn't quite stand still with a giant boss, I'd constantly have to throw another jelly bean for Blob because I'd turn around at the very last second because of something that may have happened. Just like the other bosses, it's cool and creative, but would also be frustrating because of different things.
Why do you have to kill those gooey aliens?
Well, for one, to be fair, they are literally trying to kill you. Self-defense. And two, that's the game! Stop those aliens!
But why?
Because it is. Then there's the final boss that I'm going to talk about right now, just to let you know. This final boss, while just like the others was cool and creative in execution and design, was also frustrating for one specific reason. When you die, you don't start at the boss right away. You walk in this hallway first, see the boss laughs, and then you start. Now sure, that may not sound like a big deal, but when you are playing the same section for 30 minutes and you have to do this intro every single time, well, it gets to you. At least it did to me. I got pretty pissed, to be honest. To defeat this gooey king, all you have to do is get that stone to smash him. That's it. The struggle is getting the stone to smash him. You'll have to first move the stone into place, lift the stone to the top, push the stone to the edge, clone yourself to move the stone since it's on spikes, press the button on top, and then finally shoot the stone out, all while avoiding falling gooey shit and not touching the king the entire time. It's well thought out and unique, but man, it took me a while. Finally, when the king is knocked out by the stone, the two set back home for what I thought was the end. It turns out it's not. There's a little more left with a few more levels. Blob gets chopped up and is patched back together in a span of 10 seconds. So much for stakes. Keep him dead for like a single level. These final levels are focused on a new transformation of a robot suit. It's awesomely badass. You take out every single thing in your path. Then comes the actual final boss. The king is back for one more fight, but has morphed into a massive creature. This time though, we kill him. No pushing stones, we got a fucking mech suit, bitch! For the first time, you could truly beat the shit out of an enemy. It's a loop of avoiding gooey creatures from the sky, avoiding a poisonous flood, countering his attacks, and then absolutely demolishing the ever-living shit out of this thing. Punching this thing until it finally dies and doesn't disturb the peace of the woods, I guess. The king dies and the world is saved, I would assume. The boy and the blob celebrate one last time, but the blob must go back home. He transforms into a rocket and flies away into space, leaving the boy in the dark. The world was saved thanks to these two, but now they must go back to their normal lives. And then the credits roll. These credits are pretty awesome with the drawings. Love those extra touches in the credits. Even made a damn video about it. That was A Boy and His Blob. It's a really good game that could have had some tweaking to the AI or the last half of the game's pacing. It's a really interesting puzzle platformer with a ton of heart and charm. It takes that original NES concept and expands it into something bigger. The animations and art style are truly top notch and haven't and probably will never age a day. Overall, I'm gonna give A Boy and His Blob a Blob! Come here! Blob! Blob! Out of 10. I had a lot of fun with this game. I truly played nothing like it. And while yes, it is based off an already existing IP, it is also very much clearly its own thing. I also have to say really quick that I really love the Wii. A lot of people talk trash on the Wii's library as if it's all shovelware, as if every platform doesn't get garbage thrown onto it. I'm sorry, but the people that gave the Wii shit are essentially people that never even played the console. There are so many games that are unique to this console, like A Boy and His Blob, that are still exclusive to the Wii to this day. The Wii's library was full of experiments, plenty of well-received ones. A Boy and His Blob, De Blob, Mushroom Men, Epic Mickey, Resident Evil, The Dark Side Chronicles, Boom Blocks, Rabbids Go Home, Sonic Colors, The Conduit, and so many more that we'll be covering in this series. Since the Wii was cheaper to develop on, publishers took risks, and a lot of them paid off on this console. Without the Wii, all those games I just mentioned, and so much more, would have probably never existed. Sorry for the tangent, I just had to give a shout out to my boy, the Wii. A popular platform whose library is just strangely dismissed. That'll be it for today though. Thanks so much for watching. Share these videos around as these take so long to make. I would really appreciate it. Did you play A Boy and His Blob? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below and I'll see you guys next time. A Boy and His Blob was a creative puzzle platformer, but it is officially out of the backlog. Can you turn into a human?
Alright, check it out.
What the fuck? You're me! But naked. Like, butt naked. Why?
Well, because I could shapeshift into a human, but I can't shapeshift into multiple things. And clothes would be an add-on to what I'm already shapeshifting into. So I can only be this.
Wow, this is just bizarre. I actually thought you were gonna choose, an actual different body, like trying to, tempt me with Ariana Grande or something.
That would be really messed up if I just turned into anybody in the world.
Oh, but it's okay to just turn into my body?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna show you something you're familiar with. Yourself. I'm sure you've seen yourself naked.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, if I put clothes on you, technically, you could turn into anybody, and you'd be able to... Dude, you'd be able to rule the world.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Bro, if you turned into Spider-Man right now, I would get your autograph in an instant, even though you're not actually him. What? That'd be amazing.
Well, that ain't happening.
Regardless, I mean, man, this power you got is just impressive, man. Yeah, I'm looking at my body, which is not the most pleasing thing in the world, but man, this is impressive.
Hey, I was gonna, what the? Holy shit!
Phil, I can explain. That's Finn.
It's Doomsday today, isn't it?
Did he pass out?
I think he did.
What was he coming in for anyway?
He actually was going to tell us what our next game was. I guess it was going to be on the Super Nintendo.
Well, I guess we could just choose the game.
Yeah, I guess we could just kind of pick. Oh, since you're me, let's say it at the same time. See if we're going to pick the same game. 1, 2, 3.
Larry Boy and the
86.
Bad Apple.
What did you say?
VeggieTales, Larry Boy and the Bad Apple.
It's not a Super Nintendo game.
Oh,